Hey Pablo, how's it going, buddy? How you doing this morning? So a question I get from a lot of folks who watch our videos is, when it comes to being a farmer, what are those skills that you really need to actually become a farmer?
Nunchuck skills, bow hunting skills, computer hacking skills.
Because I'm a guy who has no agricultural experience, I've walked into taking on this farm and the whole adventure we've been on really just by virtue of will and wanting to be a farmer. I feel like I've learned a number of things about what skills you really need to be a farmer, and I want to talk to you guys about it. Hey buddy boy, how's it going, Toby? How are you doing, pal? Good to see you. Good to see you, my friend. Yeah, you had a good night, I can tell. Toby, sit. Yes, good boy. Stay. Release the Kraken! Morning, parcel. How's it going? Hey, Ron Swanson. How's it going? Morning, chickens. How's it going, Margie? How are you? Don't loose the goose! There ain't no excuse! I love these, you're growing so large! Yes! Now, I've personally found that there's a whole host of skills that you actually need to be a farmer.
TV VCR repair, child daycare, computer programming, electrician.
In fact, the versatility required to be a farmer is actually maybe one of the more important things about being a farmer. So my buddy Jack the other day made a really astute observation. He was watching the old school Looney Tune, Wile E. Coyote, Roadrunner cartoons. Just comedy at its absolute finest. And well, Jack's observation was that if you watch those cartoons carefully, you'll notice that the coyote never falls until he looks down and realizes that there's nothing underneath him. Like in cartoon after cartoon after cartoon, the coyote will be hovering over the air, will be running across the air, will be like suspended somehow, defying all laws of gravity. But then the second that he looks down and realizes that there's nothing underneath them, laws of gravity start to apply and he drops. I feel like that's an incredible metaphor for learning to be a farmer, because so many of the skills that you need to acquire as a farmer, you don't even know you need to acquire them until you realize that you don't have them. And you realize just how absolutely inadequate you are at handling those challenges that are directly in front of you. It's funny. I've noticed the chickens have become very good about coming in here and cleaning up after the geese. That ensures that none of the grain is wasted, and they pick through the goose poop and really help do a nice cleanup job. Toby also enjoys picking through the goose poop. Like you can see, right? So I usually will fill these with scratch greens at night to get the geese in and give them just a little extra boost to keep fattening them up. And now the chickens will come through here and pick through all this. One of my favorite parts about farming is when you have different systems and different animals working together. Isn't that right, Margie? Like when I was living in my tiny little row house in Washington, D.C., and I was dreaming of starting a farm up here in Vermont. And, you know, I was doing things like gardening in the front yard of our row house, but I wasn't actually like doing stuff like dealing with animals or working on projects around the farm. I completely was ignorant to the skills that I was gonna need. You know, I spent a lot of my time reading permaculture theory books and philosophizing about how I was gonna do everything organically and how, you know, one animal was gonna work with the other animal. And I actually think that that provided for a good base layer of education. But the one skill I completely neglected that was actually critically important was carpentry. Like I could have been working on woodworking projects, I could have been learning how to build certain things, I could have been building things within our house down in DC, but I never really bothered to do it because I never realized just how important it was. But if I think about the skill that's probably grown the most over the last 2 years of living here on this farm, building things and being able to build structures like chicken tractors or mobile chicken coops or duck houses or duck brooders, that stuff is crazy important and I wish I spent more time doing it. Now I'm not sure if that's the way it is for everybody or that's just something that's unique to me and my farm, but when it comes down to it, my point around this carpentry story is that I really didn't even know what skill I needed until I was confronted with the problem of needing it. And then I needed to be able to learn it and develop it and refine it and hone it. And believe me, when I first started building things, I absolutely sucked. I mean, even now, I kind of suck. But I'm better than I was before. And with each project I try to tackle, I get just a little bit better too. When it comes to animals, right? I think back to my first season of raising ducks and I was in so over my head. I had received 40 ducklings. I had like the first third of them die on me within the first 5 weeks. But then I started to get better. I started to improve my skills. And now I've got a flock of about 100 birds and things are going pretty well. So if you're a kid out there and you're dreaming of being a farmer and you want to know what you should study and practice, you know, there's a couple things I think you should focus in on. I think, you know, understanding animals and biology is important. Understanding ecosystems and how things work together, I think that's also important. Understanding business and how to run a business, because you need to be a small business person and be able to make good business decisions and be able to sell and market. That's important for being a farmer. I think one skill that I completely lack and I wish I had more of a background in would be being able to do mechanical work and mechanical repairs and fixing cars and engines and working on tractors. I have a buddy who is a farmer over the other side of the hill there, and I hire him to do a lot of that work that I need here. But gosh, if I was able to do that myself and I was able to be more mechanically inclined, I think I'd be so much more able to tackle certain projects. But I hope that that comes in time. So I think those are certain skills that I would strongly suggest that you focus in on. But overall, I think the mindset and how you approach things is even more important. I think having an ability and willingness to learn multiple skills and learn lots of different things, I think is so important to being a farmer. Having the ability and willingness to fail and try something and have it not work, but not be daunted by it and go back out there and try it again and again and keep learning from your mistakes and refining your process, I think that's critically important for being a farmer. You know, we started our farm at an extremely small scale, and right now we're only just starting to scale it up, and it's even not all that large of a farm. But as we go sort of step by step with this thing, you know, what I'm finding is each lesson learned helps me refine my farm. And so for somebody who's wanting to go out there right now and start a farm, the biggest advice I'd give you is don't try to do it big. Like, don't try to be aggressive with it and build a business plan and figure out exactly what's the income that you would need to support you and your family, and then year one try to tackle that many animals or that many acres. Because if you don't have that background and experience, you're gonna screw stuff up. And you're so much better off screwing stuff up on a small scale than a large scale. And you don't want to get yourself financially in over your head. You want to start very small in a way that you can manage a cost and you can if you were to lose money on something, losing that money is not going to kill you, and it's not going to send you to the poorhouse, and it's not going to make you lose your farm. By starting small, you actually create an opportunity to fail over and over and over again. For folks like me who, were not given land, and I had to buy my land myself, and who didn't have parents who were teaching them agricultural skills or traditional agricultural skills, you're at somewhat of a slight disadvantage. But I will say that I'm actually very lucky, I feel like, to a certain extent, because of some of the skills my parents did teach me in terms of being able to deal with failure, having confidence in myself to try something and take a risk and be willing to envision the idea that it's going to work out, encouraging creativity. Those were all things that my parents really emphasized with me. And I think as I think about my farm and what we're doing here, those types of skills played a big role into it. So even though I never learned how to milk a cow or raise chickens from my parents, I've been able to apply the core skill set that I have to what I'm doing here. And so my encouragement for anybody out there who's dreaming of starting a farm of their own and wants to do something like this, really think about those core skills and really be comfortable with failure, because you're going to do it a lot. But if you keep failing over and over and over again, you're going to learn from that failure and you're going to get so much better. And by the way, speaking of failure, I just noticed this failure right here. The wheel for my giant chicken tractor seems to have fallen off. Yep, right there. Looks like the wood just sort of cracked and snapped off. The wheel's supposed to sit like that, but somehow ground down and broke. I gotta say, overall, this chicken tractor is starting to look like one big failure. I'm gonna really try to get as much use out of this as I can for the rest of the year, and I'm ultimately gonna retire it as the winter shelter for the geese up there somewhere. Hey you guys, have a zucchini. Yeah, enjoy it. It's scraps from our dinner last night. We have so much zucchini right now, we're willing to just take the extra and give it to birds like you, little chicken. Yeah, you like that. Let's see if Ron Swanson and crew like this zucchini too. Ron, do you want that zucchini? Uh-oh. We have a duck escapee. I don't know if you guys can see her, right? But she's up over there, on the other side of those ducks. I used to try to chase a duck and would just look stupid in the process. And while I am sure you guys would find that experience exceptionally amusing here on the YouTube, I will say there is a better way. Hey, duck. How'd you sneak out already, sweetheart? Usually ducks don't sneak out till midday. Somehow you got out here early. But look, I made an opening for you. See, easy peasy, you're back in with everybody. I find it infinitely easier to drive ducks to where you want them to go versus chasing them. I think that's probably true for really any type of bird, or even any type of animal, or even people for that matter. Trying to catch something is much, much harder than trying to move it in the right direction. I've noticed that whenever I let Toby outside of the paddock, he's always so quick to pee or poop anywhere. It's pretty much how he marks the territory and says that this whole farm here is his. Come on, buddy. Come on. Where are you going? Where are you going? Where you go? Release the mini Quacken! I don't know why I call you guys the Quackin'. I should probably call you the Quakin'. Our little scaredy ducklings are doing okay. They keep growing. They're starting to get used to their outdoor area, but they are still absolutely terrified of me. Pablo. I know you want food. Hang on. Here you go, buddy. As far as how's little barn cat doing? She's pretty good. Take it easy, sweetie. It's okay. Out you go. Yeah, little barn cat continues to heal up well. I'm trying to let her walk around a little bit so she gets a little exercise. She's still got several more weeks of life in the crate. That's just the deal with her recovery. But appreciate again all the kind words and support you guys are throwing her way. This little kitten really is a miracle.